targeting business pages, demonetizing them. It is, if it's going to be used for business and modes of communication, they are based in California, and they are in our jurisdiction, and they should be regulated by the FCC. I mean, it shouldn't be a private entity at that point. I mean, that's just my opinion. But
the only problem is the people who regulate are the criminals.
Exactly, and they're online too, targeting us, the low level criminals, the little cons, and the fake war on corruption pages, and the Daily Crazy. These people they are targeting for the purposes of these corrupt individuals, or judges, if you will.
See, the thing here is it's communications. Social media took corruption by surprise, because these roots, I can't tell you how old they are. Every day I find out that they're deeper. I was in Washington for a year talking to senators, congressmen, Lindsey Graham, Jim Jordan. I'm giving them evidence. I've given the evidence to Attorney General Barr. I've got the IRS on tape saying they have a plant in my company. A 4-year criminal investigation. It's called TICA, which is like the internal affairs of the IRS. Only to find out that they were working with Shaheen, protecting them. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? In other words, this is the depth of what's going on. This corruption almost took out a president of the United States. So the question is, which is why I'm giving the evidence to U.S. Attorney Durham, is what are you going to do?
Yeah.
We're out of people to speak to. Mm-hmm. See, what happens is if you report a crime to the FBI, for instance, somebody that I work with, Audra Toop, you maybe see her post, she reported a murder to the FBI. But this was involving a drug cartel, the same drug cartel that I found, which is why I met Audra. They only turned around and threatened to put a bullet in her head. She happened to have recorded the message. So now she's charged federally, fighting for her life, based on a wiretapping charge from a federal agent who just threatened to shoot her in the head. Mm-hmm. See? So in other words, the people you would go to, the Attorney General, the police, the FBI, they are the problem. So when you report a crime, or you fight them in court and try...
Yeah, it falls on deaf ears. It really does.
It's worse than deaf ears. Mm-hmm. You paint a target on your back.
Exactly.
Oh, they're listening.
Mm-hmm.
They're making sure nobody else listens to you, which is why they try to defame you. At the same time they're trying to defame you, they're trying to destroy you.
Mm-hmm.
And don't think that they won't use your children. Family court people out there is one of the favorite money makers. These same corrupt judges become, out of the AG's office, become family court judges. Now you may ask yourself, why is that? You could see criminal.
Well,
you can see civil.
That's the thing. It's, Judge Janine is famously quoted for saying that, the commissioners and family court judges are basically political hacks, in the system. And that's what a lot of this campaigning is it's political hacking.
This is what it is. It's business. What they do is same corrupt law firms, AG's office, you'll see that that make these judges, all right? Now, these judges, what people don't understand, is that, one, they get to leverage you with your children. Is there a more, how can I say it, successful means of extortion than your own children? They only a cartel threatened to murder my children. On 2 occasions, in writing and on text. They know exactly who they are. When I brought it to the family court judge, and insisted he took that evidence. He gave me 10 days in jail, and on the second day they tried to murder me. Now, think about this, the business of family court. How many of you know about matching funds? How many know that your child support is matched out of Social Security? How many billions of dollars turn around and obtain fraudulently? Now, where does that money go? Mm-hmm. Oh, you mean the social services, those judges, those attorneys?
It goes into a slush fund, and I think it's referred to as a slush fund. I know there's some videos on YouTube from what is it, auditors that
how about this? I had the national auditor who had audited that slush fund for 33 states in this country. This person was afraid to be murdered, contacted me directly. It would only go with me to see President Trump. What they uncovered was dummy corporations, filtering system, laundering systems of that money. It was all being stolen. See, there's the nature of the business, okay, of corruption. On one side, they sell protection. The other side is federal stealing. They steal through Medicaid expansion. They steal the money through corruption within the state. Employment. How about education? One school that I had 89 students. You know how many special needs teachers they were charging the government? 23. You know how many they actually had? None. Stealing from that. And stealing from family court. So one side of the business is pure and stealing federal. Medicaid expansion. You ready? These same drug cartels, Dick Akinos, with Shaheen. What they do is they addict you on opioids, and then what's the next process? If you don't die and happen to go to jail, well, then you seek treatment. So what do? They own the treatment centers. Okay, now when you go into a treatment center, what's the first question they ask you? Not that you're on drugs. Do you have insurance? And there's where Medicaid expansion comes in. So you know what? They steal from the government again. They create the patient, addict him to opioids, and then they turn around and cash in again by treatment and having the federal government pay for the treatment. Now, one of these treatment centers was called Hope Treatment Centers, who was owned by Aganos in the cartel. I had over 20 people who worked at this treatment center come to me. Come some individually, some as a group. And what they said was that one individual was charging $500 an hour. No, I'm sorry, 500 hours a week, every week, for treating patients. 500 hours a week? And think about this. They were selling drugs out of the treatment center. Now, when they told me this, I went to court with it. What did the judge do? Expose those witnesses. What did the witnesses do? Go to the Attorney General's office. So what I'm telling you can be pulled up on the papers, the New Hampshire Attorney General's office. And you know what they did? They shut them all down. And you know what these people are now? Targeted, just like you.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I assume I'm targeted because there was nothing to substantiate my original case on. And then I have two separate court case files. Each of them are different. I have a copy of the original in the mailed envelope. And then I have another copy that was submitted by Child Protective Services to family court, which is totally different. It tells a slightly different story, but very much altered. And so, there you have it. It's fraud on the court, right?
It's the court that are guilty of fraud.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So it's all fraud. And I'm going to tell you something. People don't realize this. How many cases are won or lost? Because of communications and the clerks of the courts that they control. I have never been allowed. I had 100 witnesses against the cartel. You know how many we could call? 0. How much evidence we put in? 0. Now, I had multiple cases. Now, remember, and if you go to State of Corruption on YouTube, you'll see a settlement agreement for $50 million signed by those same law firms, by those same lawyers, by the IRS, by the banking department. Now, you tell me how that's all possible. And you tell me what they want to pay you $50 million for. Now, those same people who wanted their releases are the people who have taken my home and have shut down my business and taken my properties. So the same people who wanted to pay me $50 million for extortion are the same people taking property. They own the courts. Those clerk of courts, what you've got to worry about, Amelia, is the notice you don't receive. Mm-hmm. Because that's the one that's going to violate you. That's the one that's going to threaten to take your child without you seeing, without you putting a defense. They don't want you in court. That's why I go to court. I always bring a camera. And to anyone who's listening, I am telling you to bring a camera. Turn around. That when I was in court with Judge Francois about my children and the cartel threatening to murder them, they destroyed the video. They put a court order and snatched the 2 people taping video. They don't want you to see that because, again, it's exposure.
Or
but
even,
then again,
even
you have
audio, even audio in the courts, is still a really controversial topic. You know, I've had on in the past Eugene Warwick.
And think about this: the transcript is always on audio.
It is. It's on audio as well, and it should be available on audio from the courts.
Try to get it.
I know.
I'm trying to get that audio from the judge who wouldn't take that evidence about my children being murdered. And I haven't gotten it yet. And don't think they won't. They're not able to do this. Alter that audio in their own possession. Mm-hmm. I had a Department of Revenue interview regarding forging my tax returns because they had to be able to leverage me for 3.5 hours. I filed a demand letter, under the Freedom of Information Act. You know how much I got back? From 3.5 hours, I got back 8 minutes. 8 minutes on a 3.5 hour videotape recorded interview.
You know, the first question I'll ask attorneys, do you audio record personally? And a lot of them will straight up tell me no.
Well, here's the big secret is that what we're saying is not a big secret. Mm-hmm. And all you have to ask yourself is this: how many attorneys out there won't take your case, say you've been wronged, turn around and tell you, if I say this, I will never practice again, or I will win a case? So there's the knowledge of what's going on. This corruption is well known through the legal department. The lawyers out there, they know. In fact, I had text messages from Marisa Pursuto, who worked for me. She says, Mike, the judiciary is controlled by these law firms. The people you pointed out do control the courts, do control the states. And then she follows by saying, you better hire a personal bodyguard because they are going to murder you. Mm-hmm. Okay? Now, this is from somebody inside. It's not that I didn't reach people inside. It's every time I did. Ted Little, I reached him as a lawyer that worked for me, that worked for the cartel and worked for Shaheen. And you know what he said to me? I can't give you this evidence until my children are in an airplane, because they will murder my